Well, hello, YouTubers. Today's project is we're going to try and make a $250 e-bike. That's what I want to show you, how to make a $250 e-bike. And I'm going to put some sites up so that you can see where you can buy these parts. As you can see, that's my donor bike in back. It's an old piece of junk from Walmart, and it's old. But I'm going to get a can of spray paint, and we're going to spray that bad boy up, get it looking a little more manly looking, and we're going to go from there. Now, the exact parts that I'm going to show you online are very similar to the parts that I'm going to use, but as it turns out, I just happen to have a 1,000 watt motor from a previous transaction gone bad. So for me, which is going to be very different from what you'll probably be able to do, I'm actually starting on the plus side because I have this motor that one of the Chinese companies actually wound up paying me $146 to take it off their hands. But that wasn't an easy thing, and that wasn't a great thing. What it turned out to be was a dispute over what they sent me, which was a bunch of junk. And I had wound up going through PayPal with a dispute, with the eBay with a dispute, and they wound up just refunding my money after we had made a deal. The first deal was that they would give me $146 back in compensation, and then as it turns out, I wound up getting the entire amount back. So I wound up $146 ahead with a motor. So, but I'm going to show you how this can be done for about 250 bucks. So stay tuned. I will take you from my donor bike up until the point where I've got a wheel laced and an electric motor on there, tested the motor, painted the bike, all that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to have to stop because I don't have a battery, and you'll see the battery that I bought. I'll show that to you. I think it's probably the cheapest battery in the world, and I don't expect a whole lot out of this battery, but we will see in part two. So let's get into it. All right, so we got a couple of steps here into building this e-bike, and this is the hub that we're going to be wanting to motorize. So the way that we're going to do that is I'm going to open up this old motor here and show you the actual motor. That's it. Got some spokes, and first thing we're going to do is try and test this to make sure it's good before we go through the work of lacing up that rim. So we'll do the testing next and see how that goes. So when we get ready to test this motor, basically we want to make sure that the windings are good and that the Hall sensors are good. And if those two things are good, you probably 99.9% you got a good motor and it will run. So in this case, you can use something like, sorry, I think I got my shadow in the way. You can use any of these, a multimeter or just anything, just a continuity tester. I'm going to do something a little different, probably not continuity tester, but I will use a electric bike tester just because it's a little easier. But like I said, it doesn't require anything special. You can buy these on eBay for $7 to nothing. So let's get to it. Okay, so back here to the shade, and I've got it hooked up so that we can check the Hall sensors, and basically what we're going to expect to see is the lights moving from left to right or right to left, depending on which way you move the wheel here. I'm sorry, the motor. So let's take a look at the. Okay, there we are. We've got power, and we've got a hall sensor activated. So we'll give this a little spin and see if the hall sensors are working, and there they are. You see they'll move from left to right or right to left, depending on which way you move this wheel. So we've got good working hall sensors, and next we'll just check the windings on the motor. And right back at it, and to check the phase wires, we now have the motor phase wires hooked up, and I'm going to give it a spin, but you're going to have to look really closely to see this. See the lights light up, and you may not see them. There they are. You see the ones second row from the bottom as they light up. You might not be able to see it, but all three are lighting up, which tells me that the phase wires are working, that the windings are intact, and that we have a good motor. So from there, we'll go to doing what we got to do, get that laced up into here, and we'll move on and bring you back. So anyway, there's my Frankenstein bike. Like I said, I don't have a battery for the new bike yet. So there's my Frankenstein bike, and the battery's on it. So we're just going to take the power from that battery and onto this controller and see what happens. So let's go with it and see if this thing powers up. Hit the power button here. Yep, there it goes. Okay, well, we got power. First we'll try a little throttle action, see if we can get the throttle to work. It doesn't look like we got any pedal assist going. Oh, we do have some pedal assist going. Okay, this looks different than my other. Now we'll turn the. Okay, so the most difficult part of this project is simply dropping that back wheel into the dropouts there. I mean, and this was literally nothing. It literally just fell into the dropouts just fine and get screwed in. Now, one thing I did notice with this is that we are going to have to put a torque arm on here because the dropouts are not that deep, and this torque arm here could potentially allow the axle to spin. So I'm going to put a torque arm that goes this way and attaches to the frame, and that will alleviate that problem if it were to occur. But it shouldn't occur. That's not that powerful of a motor. It's just 1,000 watts. So what we want to do now, which is most important, is we need to test that back wheel, test that motor, make sure it works. Everything is there. Everything's set up the way it would be on the bike. It's just not. It's just sitting out on a table. The controller's there. Everything came pre-wired, plugged in the way it's supposed to be plugged in. So the motor wires are there, the hall sensor wires are there. Everything is plugged in the way it's supposed to be plugged in. The little monitor, the controller, the throttle, and the brake cutoff switches. They will cut off the power to the motor after you pull the brakes as a safety feature. So I'm going to get some power to it from my Frankenstein bike, and you'll see in a second why I call it a Frankenstein bike, because I don't have a battery for it yet. And we'll see how it goes. Make sure that motor runs, and make sure that the pedal assist sensor is functioning. So let's stand by. Okay, and here's a look at the bike that's partially completed. It's got the back wheel on, the back tire is on, and some of the parts, but majority of them are still not been placed back on yet. I'm also waiting for, like I said, the battery, so you can see what it looks like up until this point.